On an empty country road at sunset, a black father sat frozen in the driver's seat, hands lifted in the air, while a white cop leaned into his window and screamed at him. The officer's face was red with anger, fingers stabbing the air inches from the man's nose. Behind them, 2 patrol cars glowed with flashing lights. In the back seat, 2 children sobbed into their mother's shoulder, and on the dashboard, a tiny red light blinked quietly, recording every second. Darius Coleman hadn't planned on taking the back roads that evening. He, his wife Alana, and their kids, 8-year-old Jada and 6-year-old Miles, were on their way home from visiting Alana's mother. Traffic on the highway had been a parking lot, so Darius took the scenic route, rolling past wide fields and old barns, the sky painted orange and pink by the setting sun. The kids were half asleep. The radio played soft R&B, and for the first time all week, Darius felt his shoulders relax. Mounted just below the rear-view mirror, his dashcam hummed along, recording like it always did. Darius had installed it after a rough stop 2 years earlier, one where his word hadn't mattered much against an officer's version of events. He hoped he'd never need the footage. He prayed it would just fill up with boring drives and quiet music. But that night, as he crested a hill and saw the sudden burst of blue and red lights in his rearview mirror, his heart sank. The dashcam's little red LED seemed to stare back at him like an eye. "Daddy, why are they behind us?" Jada asked, lifting her head. "It's okay, baby," Darius said, though his mouth felt dry. "I'm just going to pull over so they can pass." He switched on his blinker and eased the sedan onto the gravel shoulder. The patrol car didn't pass. It pulled up right behind them, followed seconds later by another unit. The siren chirped once, sharp and commanding. Alana's hand found his arm. "Darius," she whispered, "be careful." He nodded, swallowing. "Everybody stay calm, hands where they can see them. Don't reach for anything unless I say." The officer approached fast, boots crunching on gravel. He was bald, broad-shouldered, his uniform stretched tight across his chest. Even before he reached the window, Darius could feel the anger coming off him like heat. The officer rapped on the glass with 2 knuckles. "Roll it down, now!"
If you think this little guy is cute, please hit like and subscribe, or else this man will knock on your doorstep tomorrow.
Darius lowered the window halfway, both hands sliding back up to the steering wheel. "Evening, officer," he said, forcing his voice to stay steady. "Is there a problem?" "You tell me," the officer snapped. "What are you doing out here? Driving slow, weaving all over the road?" Darius blinked. "I wasn't weaving, sir. Don't argue with me," the officer cut him off, leaning in closer. "License and registration, and keep those hands where I can see them." "My license is in my wallet, in my back pocket," Darius said calmly. "Registration is in the glove box. I'm going to reach for them if that's okay." The officer rolled his eyes. Yeah, slowly." Darius moved like the air was made of glass, narrating each step. Reaching to my back pocket, taking out my wallet, now opening the glove box. Jada started to cry softly, and Alana whispered soothing words, her own hand still visible on the seat. The officer snatched the documents, barely glancing at them before looking back at Darius. "Where are you coming from?" "My mother-in-law's house, sir, over in Parkview." "Parkview," he repeated, like the word tasted bad. "Long way from there. People in this area don't see many cars like this cruising through at dusk." Darius frowned. His car was 10 years old, a slightly beat-up sedan. There was nothing special or flashy about it. "Sir, I'm just taking the back road home because the highway's backed up." The officer's lip curled. "You people always have a story, don't you?" Alana flinched at the phrase. Darius felt the familiar burn of anger rise in his chest, but he swallowed it down. Survive first, he reminded himself. Fight later. He forced his eyes to the dashcam for half a second, just enough to remind himself it was there. "Officer," he said carefully, "may I ask why I was pulled over?" "You were swerving," the cop said immediately. "Probably distracted, maybe under the influence. Step out of the vehicle." "I haven't been drinking. My kids are in the back. You're welcome to—" "I said, out of the vehicle," the officer shouted, slamming his palm against the roof. Jada yelped. Miles started crying harder. "Please, they're scared," Alana said, voice shaking. "He just asked a question." The officer swung his glare toward her. "Ma'am, if you don't want to be taken in for interfering, you'll stay quiet." Darius opened the door slowly and stepped out, hands still visible. The setting sun cast long shadows across the road. The second officer, a younger man standing near the rear patrol car, watched with a tight, uneasy expression. "Turn around, hands on the hood." Darius complied. Gravel dug into his shoes, the metal of his own car warm under his palms. He felt the officer pat him down roughly, hands digging into his pockets, down his legs, across his back. "You carrying?" the officer asked. "No, sir, I don't have any weapons." "Yeah, we'll see about that." The officer stepped back, eyes cutting to the dash. "What's that camera for?" "It's a Dashcam. It records while I drive. For insurance, for safety." The officer sneered. "Turn it off." I can't. It's wired to the ignition. It records automatically when the car's on. It's already been recording this whole time." The words hung in the air. The younger officer's eyes flicked up to the blinking red light, then back to his partner. The bald officer's jaw tightened. He stepped closer to Darius, voice dropping to a hiss. "You trying to set me up?" he said, "hoping you'll catch something to post online so you can cry about harassment?" "I'm just trying to get my family home safe," Darius said quietly. "That's all." The officer's response was to yank open the back door. "Kids, step out," he barked. "Is that necessary?" Alana asked, her voice rising slightly. "They're children." "I decide what's necessary," he snapped. "Out, now." Jada and Miles clung to Alana as they stepped onto the gravel. The officer made them stand on the side of the road while he shined his flashlight into the car, under the seats, in the trunk, muttering about contraband and hidden compartments. "Officer," the younger cop finally said, stepping closer, "the registration matches. No warrants, clean license, no sign of impairment. Maybe we just issue a warning if you think he was distracted and you want to run this stop, Martinez?" The bald officer cut in sharply. Martinez hesitated, looking from his partner to the family. "I just think—" "I don't pay you to think," the older cop growled. "Get back by the cruiser." Darius watched the exchange, heart hammering. The camera caught it all. The power struggle, the fear in his kid's eyes, the tight line of Alana's mouth as she tried not to cry. The officer walked back to him, ticket book in hand. "I'm writing you up for failure to maintain lane and resisting instructions," he said. "I didn't resist anything," Darius replied, disbelief cracking through his calm. "I did everything you said. You searched my car, scared my kids, talked to us like we're criminals for what? Because you didn't like seeing a black family on this road at sunset?" The officer stepped in so close, Darius could feel his breath. "Watch your tone," he hissed. "One more word, and I'll find a reason to bring you in." Darius opened his mouth, then saw Jada's face over the officer's shoulder, wide-eyed, pleading. He closed it again, the words burning on his tongue. Eventually, the officer tore the ticket from his book and shoved it toward Darius. "Sign it. Not an admission of guilt. Just says you'll deal with it in court." Darius signed. His hands shook so badly, the signature barely looked like his own. "Get back in your vehicle," the officer said, "and get out of my county before you cause more trouble." Darius and his family climbed back into the car. He turned the ignition, feeling like the air inside the cabin had turned to stone. As he pulled away, he saw in the mirror the bald officer still standing in the road, watching, while Martinez stared down to his own boots, shame written all over his face. For the first few miles, no one spoke. Then Jada's small voice broke the silence. "Daddy, did we do something wrong?" Darius's grip tightened on the wheel. "No, baby," he said softly. "We didn't do anything wrong." Sometimes people with power forget they're supposed to protect, not hurt. That wasn't your fault. It wasn't mine either. When they finally reached home, Darius went straight to his computer. He took the Dashcam's memory card, slotted it into the reader, and watched the footage play out on his screen. Every shout, every threat, every tearful whisper in the backseat, it was all there. His hands shook again, but this time it wasn't just fear. It was rage, and under that, something else. Resolve.
Alana put a hand on his shoulder. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "What we tell our kids to do," he said. "Tell the truth and make sure people hear it." He clipped the most important parts of the video: the officer's accusation about you people, the kids being ordered out, the demand to shut off the camera, the threat when Darius dared to ask why he'd been stopped. He blurred Jada's and Miles's faces, leaving their voices. Then he uploaded the video to a social media site with the caption, "This is what a routine stop looks like when you're driving while black with your family on a country road." He didn't expect what happened next. Within hours, the video exploded. Shares stacked up by the thousands. Comments poured in from neighbors who recognized the officer, from strangers who had lived their own versions of that night, from people who had never seen a stop like that up close and couldn't believe what they were witnessing. News outlets started reaching out. Civil rights organizations messaged, offering support. Hashtags formed around his name, around that lonely stretch of road, around the simple phrase he'd written, "My kids were in the car." 3 days later, the department held a press conference. They announced that the officer had been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. They insisted they took all allegations seriously and valued community trust. Standing behind the podium, the sheriff looked stiff and uncomfortable, aware that the footage had done what 100 complaints before it hadn't, made denial impossible. Officer Martinez, watching the press conference from his small apartment, finally sent Darius a message. He'd found Darius's contact information through the report. "I'm sorry. I should have spoken up on that road. I'm speaking up now. I've given a statement to Internal Affairs about what happened. The camera didn't just catch you, it caught me staying quiet. I'm gonna do better." Weeks passed. The investigation concluded that the bald officer had a pattern of aggressive, biased behavior during traffic stops, mostly toward black and brown drivers. Several old complaints were reopened. He was fired from the department. The ticket issued to Darius was dismissed. The citation he raised from the system as if it had never existed, except it had, and the whole world had seen why. But for Darius, the real outcome wasn't just a job lost or a ticket voided. It was the conversation that rippled out from that little blinking light on his dashboard. Schools used the video in discussions about bias and power. Community groups held meetings with the sheriff's office to demand better training and oversight. Other drivers bought dash cams, not because they wanted drama, but because they wanted truth. One evening, months later, Darius sat on the living room floor with Jada and Miles, helping them with their homework. Jada looked up at him, her brow furrowed. "Daddy, our teacher showed the video today. She asked how it made us feel. I told her I was scared, but also that I was proud you didn't yell back even when he was mean." Darius's throat tightened. "I was scared too, but I knew we had that camera, and I knew if something bad happened, people would see it. Sometimes telling the truth is the bravest thing we can do." He looked over at the dash cam, visible through the window in the parked car. A tiny device, a blinking light. Nothing special to most people. To him, it was a witness that couldn't be intimidated, couldn't be bullied into silence. If this story made your heart race or your hands clench, don't let it be just another video you scroll past. Share it with someone who still thinks these things don't really happen. Talk about it with your family, your friends, your community. Support those who are fighting for fair policing and real accountability. And if you want more real stories that expose abuse, uplift truth, and remind us why every voice and every camera matter on the road, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Together, we can turn a blinking red light on the dashboard into a beacon that helps protect families like Darius's, one drive at a time.
Thank you for watching Dashcam and Justice Stories. You love more stories like this? Click the videos above and see you there.